Welcome to the Mischief. I'm Vallen, and this is Tinker's Construct Tool, Tools and Materials. I'm going to be covering a lot of the materials in this episode, but I'm not going to be covering the modifiers as much. That will be saved for another episode. So stay tuned, and let's get into this. There are a lot of materials in Tinker's Construct 2. Just to give an example, here's a bit here. Please forgive any frame rate loss. I have a lot of little items on display here at the moment. I'll try and keep it as minimal as possible. Before we jump into the different types of materials, we should understand how they are interacting with the different tools. And of course, your materials in your book, once again, should give you just about all the information that you need in order to get started. So I'm here to tell you the extra details on top of that. Now, let's take a look here. There are typically 3 parts to each tool. Now, before I get into any of these, you should know that I am not, I repeat, I am not covering anything to do with bows, crossbows, or items of that ranged weaponry in this one, because the materials for those function very differently than the ones for your melee weapons, shields, and regular mining tools. So that will stay aside for another video. But for now, let's understand how these things are classified. Now, your different tools are made up of different parts. For instance, you've got things like your wide guard, a tool rod plus a blade will make a sword. Well, each type of part is broken up into a few categories here. Now, let's start off with the weapon heads. As you see here, I've got weapon heads, which are all these ones here. You've got your excavator head, your shovel, your hammer, your regular pickaxe, your sword, your large sword blade, your hatchet, your lumber axe, knife blade, scythe, your battle sign, frying pan, and large plate. Of course, some of these have dual uses. We'll get into those in a minute. But as a weapon and a tool, these items will affect the durability of your tool overall, as well as the damage. Heads really are influenced mostly by damage, but they also have a good portion of durability. And of course, if it's a tool like a pick or a hammer, it will also affect your mining level and the mining speed, depending on the materials that it's made from. The reason I'm saying this is because sometimes you get special effects from these things, and I'm not covering the modifiers and effects of these ones per se. I am covering the different materials, though, and the effects that those will give. Now, there is another part, handles. There's only a couple here. We've got the tool rod and the tough tool rod, and these here affect just the modifier and your durability. Now, by modifier, it means the total durability of the tool multiplied by a modifier. So that will increase your tool's handle increases the durability considerably. But it also may add its own durability levels as well, which we will take a look at in there. And then we've got the extra items, which is like the tool binding, the tough tool binding, the large plate, the different sword guards. You've got your wide guard, your I can't remember all of them. Your wooden hand guard. You've got your wooden cross guard, or well, I'm saying wooden, but that's just the types that I have on display here. And it should be noted that there are a few of these tool weapon pieces that have dual uses, and that is the large plate, as you see here, is considered extra, and a head. So it can give extra bonuses, because sometimes these materials will have extra abilities depending on how they're used in the tool. Once again, we'll get into how all this kind of works together. Another one is the tough tool rod. Counts as both a handle and an extra, which extra items are pretty much just durability bonuses, and you might be able to get the special effects from it. The knife blade counts as both a head and an extra part, so you could get the offense as well as some abilities that an extra might benefit from. So allow me to demonstrate by opening this up, and let's make ourselves a regular tool here. We'll look at the pickaxe is made with a pickaxe head, a binding, and a tool rod, right? So that's not too bad. Let's get into tool materials. We'll choose the first one, wood. You've got a head, a handle, and a binding, which is considered an extra piece. The handle is considered the tool rod. The head is considered the pickaxe head. So each one may bestow different abilities, as I was describing. You've got your damage and durability, mining level and speed as determined by a head. The handle here is giving you a modifier and a durability. Your extra will give you durability bonus, as well as any other extra benefits. Like you see here, ecological is a special feature that wood gives to tools, whereas stone gives you like cheapskate, or if used on an extra or a handle piece, will give you a cheap effect instead of cheapskate. If you use it on both a handle and extra, it'll just give you the cheap one. But if you use like a head and a handle, you'll get cheapskate and cheap, because typically they won't stack if they're similar in function. Like extra and handle usually don't stack together, but head and handle and head and extra do. And we'll get into this just to show you how this works. So we're going to start off with some of the simpler materials, work into more of the complex ones, and explain to you how this all works and how they're all going to function. So you see in here I've got a couple of wooden pickaxes. Each one is down a couple of durability. They're both at 73 out of 75. They're identical. The reason I'm doing this is because I'm putting them on my hotbar. And I'm going to keep one in my inventory, one on my hotbar, and to demonstrate some of the special ability that wood might benefit. So to start with, in a part builder, you can craft wooden items with just a simple pattern using either oak wood planks, oak wood, or even sticks, which count as, I believe, a half a piece or a half a material. If you look here, it says material value 1 wood, which is not enough to craft a pickaxe head in this case, which is 2. But a whole piece of wood, or a log in this case, is actually a value of 4. So I could feasibly craft 2 wooden pickaxe heads with that if I want, or craft that, have some left over. If I were to use the stick, that only counts as a half a wood value, so I would need 4 sticks in order to craft this. So you can see how this really affects. Some of these ones will allow multiple methods in this case, but this one is a specific one that it has a lot of different variables that allow it a lot of functionality. So you don't always have to have logs or planks or sticks around. You can use any of those and use up what resources you have. Getting into some of the cool effects that wood can give you. If I use these here, we have a wooden pickaxe. You notice, hey, that one's it's no longer lost any durability. It's fully healed. And this one here is at 74 out of 75. What the heck? Well, that's where ecological comes in. If I put this in here, you see it's got a trait of ecological, which it says renewable resources are so good they regenerate by themselves. That's right. If you have a tool or weapon that has any wooden parts, you will gain ecological. And this will mean that it will slowly, over time, repair itself if it's anywhere in your inventory. If it's in your inventory back here, if it's down on your hotbar, it will repair itself. In the chest, it will not, and that's why I had left those in there. They had actually been in there for a few hours. They do not replenish while in an outside inventory, only in your inventory, and not necessarily on the hotbar. And it's probably, I don't know, every minute or so, maybe less, maybe more. It all depends. There's like a chance every X amount of ticks that one of the durability is going to repair itself. So if you have tools that you use every so often, and you don't want to spend the materials to repair them that much, you could always add in a wooden part, or early on, it will allow you to repair things that are a little more difficult to come by. So, ecological can be very beneficial. Let's put that away, and we'll move on to stone. This one here is a little bit simpler. These are both going to have the same value. You've got a 1 for either one of these, cobblestone, smooth stone, and so on. And you can make yourself, your regular stuff with a head pattern. You do not have to pour these. You can if you want, but the minimum for this is going to be a pattern. Same with the wood and some of the other ones. Now with this, we get into some different abilities with stone as compared to wood. If you see here, there's cheap and cheapskate. A stone pickaxe, in this case here, has both cheap and cheapskate on it. Now, I do have a stick, which I could feasibly use to make myself a tool rod, but instead I'm just going to spawn myself one in, and we're going to put this in here. And you can see that if I put this on here, it gains ecological, and cheapskate are still there because it is currently fully made of stone. One of the parts is currently in there. So let me get a wooden set of other pieces here. We have the pickaxe head. We can put that up here, and that would replace the head and still leave the binding as stone, so it's still going to get the cheap effect. If I replace all the parts, then there you go. Well, if I remove these two here, you'll see it still has cheap, but not cheapskate. Reason being is cheap is only affected on the handle and extra parts. Cheapskate only affects head parts. So that is how this really functions. Now, the cheap one says here, increases durability gained when repairing the tool. So effectively, when you repair the tool, if you normally would repair a tool with, let's say, a piece like a plank of wood would repair your pick. Instead, it might not take quite so much, or it would repair more, if you will. So it will get repaired more durability with whatever you're using to repair it on, if stone is on there. So you get a bonus for that. I'm not telling you exact numbers on this because it changes from Tinker's Construct version to Tinker's Construct version, and I'm not going to data mine it for that, but I'm going to give you the gist of what this is so that you can best decide what it is you want to put on your tools and how to make them. So cheapskate, head only. Tool has less durability. So this is kind of a trade-off. So by replacing the head with something else, in this case wood, I would then have to, it becomes a wooden pickaxe, which means that I then have to repair it with wood. So if I have any head part of it, so if I get some, like a stone mattock has 2 heads on it in this case. Let's put that on there, and you see here it is made of that, and I can get a wooden shovel head here, and we can add that on there. It would allow it to be repaired with both a stone and wood, because it's a stone wood mattock. Therefore, the head is usually what distinguishes what a tool is repaired with. In this case, I still get cheap, I get cheapskate, and I get ecological because it's got multiple heads and it's got the handle, which gives the cheap. So therefore, you can sometimes mix and match this, and best, if you can create a weapon or tool that is fixed simply with like cobblestone, then hey, you know what? Maybe you've got a really easy and good way of leveling up, or of repairing your tools as you so desire. All right, next up we have flint. And flint is quite interesting, though rather crude. So with this, it is a material value of, 1 per piece. Oops, I didn't mean to grab that. I meant to grab this. So you can see it's similar to like cobblestone or whatnot. It will give you 1 for that. And you can always get more flint by just putting 3 gravel in any crafting grid, really, and you get a piece of flint back from it. So that is very renewable, because gravel is fairly common. Not nearly as common as cobblestone, but you get the idea. Now, crude you get from the handle and the extra, which is going to be, in most cases, like a binding and a handle, though, there are some exceptions to that, like your plate over there or something. But if you want to get your crude 2, then that's heads only. So to give some examples, I have some already lined up in here. We have a flint hammer with crude 3, flint wood scythe with crude 2, wood flint scythe with crude, and a flint scythe with crude 3. So we're going to grab this out of here for the moment. You can see here, this one here looks like it has more parts on it than anything else. So actually, let me click all these out of here. I will show you the different parts made up of a scythe is the head, a tough tool binding, and 2 tough tool rods. In this case, everything except for the head is made of flint. So therefore, I'm only getting the crude effect, because crude 2 is obtained through a head use, which there's only 1 head slot on this tool. So if I have something with a only flint head, like this flintwood scythe has, let's see, there we go, has a head that is made of flint, and the rest of it's all made of wood. Therefore, I'm getting crude 2. Now, crude 1 and crude 2 stack, but not with each other. You can't stack a crude 2 and a crude 2. You can't stack a crude 1 and a crude 1. You can stack a crude, like this, and a crude 2, and make a crude 3. I know, it's a lot of crude, but the idea is, it gives bonus damage to unarmored targets. Crude 1 will give you a little bit. Crude 2 will give you a bit more. So if you're fighting like creepers or zombies that aren't wearing armor, whatnot, then you'll have bonus damage versus those critters. And it's pretty much the idea there. And just for reference, this flint hammer. A hammer is currently made, let's bring up the recipe for this. with 2 large plates and a hammer head, all 3 of which count as heads. These 2 also count as extra parts. So you would think, oh, crude 2, crude 2, crude 2. So you can see it maxes out at crude 3 regardless. So you can only get crude 1 and crude 2 to stack together to make a maximum of crude 3. They cannot stack heads with heads or others with others. Others being handle/extra pieces. Now we have cactus. If you're anywhere near a desert biome, this is a very easy resource to come by, and not too bad, actually. Now, it has 2 different abilities, depending on how they're, what parts of the tool they are used on. But your handle or extra parts will allow blocking with this to deal damage. This is actually quite a bit of fun. So you can see this one here as all cactus parts. It's no big problem there. I might, you just have it here. You hold it up like a shield. And you can also put it in your shield slot and use it as one. Not a problem there. Have my scythe on one hand and block with the other. But prickly is for the head only, which in this case, it would be the battle sign itself, not the tool rod used to create this tool. But prickly, you have a chance to deal bonus damage. So to give an example of this, let's get a demonstration spider out here. And we will put him down. And let me switch my game mode. There we go. And it's daytime, so he doesn't really care, which is not a problem. I'm just going to poke him, and then he's going to come at me. I'm going to block, and you see he's getting damage just from blocking, which is part of that, part of the prickly effect. Now, if I hit him with it, let's see if I can actually hit him with it. He could potentially take some damage with it as a spiky effect as well. Now there's a chance. It's like the damage might be like 0 to 2, I think it is, for the prickly to take effect. So if I'm hitting an enemy with this shield, let's see if I can actually hit him here. There we go. Actually, I'm hitting myself there. There we go. You see, that was not a block. That was just me hitting him with it. So there's a chance with prickly of causing a little extra damage. With spiky, just by blocking, the target that was attacking you will take the cactus damage. And as with most of the others, a single piece of cactus represents 1 material value, so you don't exactly have to spend a lot in order to get them. Moving on, we've got bones. Bones are rather important for offense, for tools, for all sorts of stuff. It's really good early game stuff that you can get fairly easily just by fighting skeletons. You can see in here that the material amount in here is the same as most of the others, a 1-to-1 value. And then by going in here, we've got all sorts of different possibilities. So fractured on handles and extra parts increases the tool's damage. Splintering, the head only, will allow repetitive attacks to do more damage. So to give an example, let's take a wooden sword. And actually, let's clear out this grid here. We have a wooden sword. And it's going to do, attack damage of 4. So if I take it and I run over here to this guy and I hit him, I do 2 points of damage, or 2 hearts of damage, I should say. Now, if I take a bone rapier, which has fractured and splintering on it, I'm, of course, not going to do much damage because it's only got an attack of 3.2. But you'll see that over time, I'm doing increased damage. And I get, if you look on the screen here, it says a potion effect, potency, level 5. So every 2 seconds of this, you get like the target that you attack gets a potion effect. You can see that splash on the target that I'm hitting here, and it will increase the damage that you cause to that target with that weapon. If I switch back to this sword, you can see I'm still doing 2 damage, but because this one's made of bones completely, it does that bonus damage, and it's dealing extra damage. So what happens if I replace some of these parts here? Let's take this sword, and we shall put on here the wide guard and the tool rod, and we'll upgrade it. And it now has the fractured ability. Plus, of course, it has the ecological because it's made of wood. But with fractured, it will allow more damage. So you can see now it's not just 2.75. It wasn't just 2. It's now 2.75 hearts. So it's doing more damage just by having bones for a handle, which is quite interesting. Now, if I upgrade something else, like the blade in this case, then it would of course start acting like the rapier, and over time also increase the damage dealt. Of course, bone tools actually have really good modifiers and a decent durability, so they are quite handy regardless due to the stats that they have. If you're interested in the stats, I recommend you look in the Materials in You book. I'm not going to be just listing off all the numbers in this case, just so that you are aware. And that's pretty much it for bones. Now moving on to obsidian. This one here, as with the rest of these so far, is all easily carvable with a regular pickaxe head pattern. You don't have to pour this. And of course, 1-to-1 value for how much the units cost or the materials for this stuff. But it acts in a really strange way. It's not a guaranteed thing, and in fact, it can act a bit weird at times. As you can see here, I have an obsidian excavator that's all obsidian. All of its parts are made of obsidian, and it does not gain extra levels of durite, or as some people refer to it as Doritos. But it can be beneficial regardless. So you can see here, if I add in all these extra parts except for the tough tool binding, I can therefore still maintain the durite effect. Which, what does it do? To all parts and pieces, whether it be head or other parts, it will do around 25 to 33% chance to not use durability, or extend the life of your tool or weapon by about 25 to 33% on average. Somewhere around 30%, really. What it does is it on occasion will use more durability. On occasion, it will use less durability. On occasion, it won't use any durability. So, instead of using less, it might like repair some or something like that. But it's basically, you just have, once you've number crunched everything, somewhere around 30% chance or more durability than what your tool reads if it's got the durite stat on it. And here's something a bit strange here. So you see here I have 22 ammunitions here. So let's do 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22. And you can see I still have durability left. 7 out of 22. So strange. All right, well, let's go pick all these up. And there we go. And wait a minute, my durability is not full. 20 out of 22. What the heck? So you can see it's not a perfectly reliable durability reduction in some cases, especially if you're using it in some kind of a weapon that you throw or a ranged tool. But if you expect to regain durability by picking parts up, like I said, I wasn't really going to be getting too much into the ranged weaponry, then it acts really strangely. But with other tools, it's pretty much just a reduction on durability cost. All right, now we get into paper. This is very controversial. A lot of people think that it's like it used to be. It's similar, but not the same. Paper is writable. It works the same way on all the different parts for the tools. In this case, it will add a +1 modifier, but it will only use it in some areas. So like a head plus an extra will get you writable 2. A head plus a handle will get you writable 2. Extra plus a handle won't stack together. Same plus the same won't stack together. So there are some scenarios. Basically, you need to have something on a head and something on either extra or a handle if you want to get both modifiers. So the most modifiers you can add to a tool is 2. And if you start with 3 on most tools, as you should, then the highest level you can see here, if I convert it to an entire piece of paper, it's still only writable 2. Now this and this both count as heads. But if you remember, this, the large plate, counts as both a head and extra. So let's take all 3 parts off, and it is currently still writable. But if I stack another part on there like this, I can get writable 2 with any of the other parts that I want, because it then acts like the opposite, in this case. There are some cases, I guess I was wrong, because this is, in this case, it's actually being used more as a head than an extra part. So you're going to want to be a little bit cautious on what you do in order to maintain your extra parts. Now, why would you want to a lot more paper on here. I mean, look at the durability. It is total crud. I mean, sure, this is a wooden excavator, but I mean, it's pretty much going to reduce most durability to a lot of crud. Well, the reason for most of that is due to the fact that you can add some pretty wicked modifiers on there to make your tool invincible or just really, really overpowered. So keep in mind that you can upgrade your tool. Just, you're only going to have a limit of writable 2, no matter how much you put it on there of paper. And you'll see all the tables here are filled with paper. Reason being is that one piece of paper is worth 0.25. So in order to make the pickaxe head that I've been trying to make that's worth 2 materials, you'd need 8 paper. So in previous versions, you'd have to use stacks of paper, and then you could not uncraft those, which was really wasteful if you did not use them up. But in this case, you just use regular paper now, which I think is fantastic. All right, now we have prismarine. We're still in stuff that uses head patterns. You don't have to pour this stuff. And if you look here, I have 4 of these. They're very similar to paper if you're using the little prismarine shards. There's all sorts of different prismarine pieces you can use in this case. Like over here, I've got some regular prismarine. They're 1-to-1 value. But most prismarine parts or materials should work as a prismarine base for whatever tool you want to make. And they have 2 different abilities, unlike some of the others that we passed that have a, all-encompassing statistics. In this case, we have Aqua Dynamic for handles and extra parts. Your mining speed in the water is, I'm going to say it's not exactly normal. I realize the sign says equals normal, but it is unhindered and may even be faster. Extra bonus, your speed also increases in the rain, which is pretty darn cool. Your speed with tools and weapons. So yeah, you can get some really, really interesting stuff on here. Now, I'm going to change my game mode here for reasons so that I can show this to you as to what's going on, because I don't want to break this. There's only 2 left of here. I've got some similar shuriken, and yes, I realize I'm using shuriken again, which are ranged weapons and not what I had planned on using, but there's a reason that I want to show this to you. So let's get over here, and we'll go up and attack some of these dummies. This one here has no effects on it. This one has no effects on it. So I have a prismarine stone shuriken, which is mostly stone with 1 piece of prismarine on it. Now I use it, you can see it's doing 2.16. Now if I have this one here that has very little durability on it, but it's the same tool, basically. It's made from the same stats, everything's the same on it. 3.33. You can see that there's a drastic increase in that. It's like 30% or something. That's because of the durability. So the more durability a tool or weapon has, and the lower it is with that, and it has prismarine on it, jagged does more damage. And that's where the head use comes in. So if I use, in this case, I've got slime shuriken, which have a huge amount of ammo in comparison to the stone shuriken. You can see before it was 2.16 to 3.33. Now the slime shuriken, 1.85, it's not that much. 4.65, but this is even, the attack is even less than this, but it's a much greater effect because it has a lot more durability. So you can see that there are some really good benefits for using the jagged effect on some headed weaponry. Now the Aqua Dynamic, of course, I have these shovels here allow me to fly over and demonstrate their use. And I am underwater right now, currently drowning, and I'm using a similarly sped. The mining speed is both 5.5 for both of these tools. Allow me to grab a gulp of air before I continue. I'm now landing on the ground. I start digging with this crude shovel, and now let's try the prismarine shovel. And you can see it is not hindered at all by the underwater use of this shovel. Which, of course, that underwater use was Aqua Dynamic, which is quite handy in most situations, especially if it speeds up when it's raining. Okay, now we get into what some might consider a prank material, and that is the sponge. It has a squeaky ability, and that's for all parts and pieces. It basically gives silk touch effect and will produce little to no damage. Now, what I mean by little to no damage is that it's in some cases will produce none, and in other cases will produce some. So I have a sponge pickaxe. Of course, there we go. It is picking things up without a problem. No issues there. I can put these blocks back down, and I have a shovel that I can use. And I'm getting silk touch these items, which is pretty convenient. Now, of course, I have a couple of swords here, one of which has a sponge tool rod, the other one has a wooden tool rod. So allow me to show you the wooden tool rod, of course. Slap. 6.11. All right, now the Manillan broadsword with a sponge tool rod. So you can see it doesn't do that much, but hey, wait a minute. Look at that. It's still doing some damage. Just like Manillan would over time. And yes, that's right. You are hearing a squeaky toy noise. That is what sponge does on weapons. It will produce a squeaky toy noise when used to attack entities. But some other in combination with some other materials, sponge can do a little bit of damage, just not very much. And you may think that the sponge pickaxe, well, it's got a mining level of stone, which means that it would have problem getting things like iron ore. But if you look here, that's a regular piece of stone. It silk touched it. So there you go. Plus, you can always upgrade it with a sharpening kit for a higher mining level. And just in case, sponge is a 1-to-1 value, same as most of the other materials. Next up, interference and alien from endstone, which is again another 1-to-1 value. It on the handle and extra will do interference, which means that when you hit an enderman, there will not be a teleportation for a while. And I've got these tools in my inventory already. Now, alien on the heads only, your stats increase over about a 1 hour period randomly. I can't remember the exact stat pool. It varies, like I said, from Tinker's Construct to Tinker's Construct version. I don't know if it's 800 points or 1,000 points or how they're distributed or what each point value is for each one. But here, allow me to show you a little bit of a comparison. So I have here an end shovel, which is made completely out of ender stone. Now, here we go here. This here has mining level obsidian, which is not going to change. The mining speed is 3.23. Mining speed here is 5.18. The attack is 3.91. Attack is 5.04. What the heck? And I haven't used any modifiers on these things either. That's what happens, is that once you create this, whatever tool or weapon, it will, over time, increase its stat. What's happening is that this ability for the hold on a second, let me get over here. The alien, with the stats increasing over about an hour period, whatever you make it, and then those stats should stay there. I don't know if they switch around. I don't think that they do, but once they reach there, the durability and the attack rate, potentially the other stats on there, like your mining speed might also increase. So you could get an attack bonus, mining speed bonus, and a durability bonus off of that 3 different stat increases over time. You'll actually see it if you watch. Allow me to spawn in a sword here, and you'll see the durability will probably go up here shortly. 430. Oh no, the attack speed, or the attack went up to 5.24. There we go. Durability just went up. So over time, they will slowly go up until they reach their maximum potential randomly. So if you distribute those out, they'll probably gain about a third of whatever that number is. And of course, with an enderman, I can spawn one in, and then I could use my sword, and he's not going to teleport around. Instead, he's going to stay right where he's at and kick my butt. Ooh, or I'll kick his. But he did not teleport, if you noticed, so therefore, there you go. Sometimes just adding one of these to your tool can increase its stats over time, you might be able to make it so that it'll prevent your enemy target from teleporting. Next up we have netherrack, which this one here, as before, is a 1-to-1 ratio for the material use. And with this, the hellish trait can be obtained through handles and extra pieces, dealing extra damage to non-nether mobs. And the eridiculous, which is the head only, will give you potentially speed or damage bonus depending on the biome that you're in. And by biome, I mean the hotter it is, the more damage you're going to get. And rain even affects this slightly in a way as well. So if you're in the nether, you're probably going to do a bit more damage if the head of it is currently made with netherrack, whereas if the handle or extra part in the overworld will deal more damage. So I have a couple of volunteers here. We've got a zombie pigman and a zombie. So let's spawn this zombie here in an area where he's not going to burn. Here we go. This looks like a decent place. We're going to spawn the zombie, and you can see he has a full amount of hearts. I hit him and take away about 3 hearts worth there. Not a problem. Now the zombie pigman. Let's hit him. I only took away about 2 hearts worth on that. So therefore there's a big difference on how the weapon treats nether and non-nether mobs. You might be able to get better damage versus those in the overworld with the handle and extra parts, whereas the opposite can be said in the nether for the tool or weapon head, or just hot biomes and so on. And here we have slime crystals, or slime. In many cases, it's green or blue. They're going to have slightly different values, some of which are going to help you out depending on your different tool. Like I said before, just look at the stats to find out. This one here, I think, there we go. We can go to regular slime and blue slime. You can see that the durability of one is higher than the other, and the modifiers slightly better on the other, and so on. So it all depends on the durabilities, really, for this. Your mining speed is going to be slightly different, but otherwise everything's going to be very similar. And what these special trait is, on occasion you'll generate a small slime that will pop in the world and can't really hurt you. So, but you could kill him, gain a slime ball, and use that as an ingredient later on to repair the same tool. So that can be useful. Just need to cook up these slime crystals. If you don't know the recipe for them, they're relatively easy. It's pretty much going to be blue slimy mud or green slimy mud with appropriate slime balls, dirt, and sand. Now magma slime. This is going to be very different from the other slimes. You're not going to generate little slimes from this one. And it is going to be, again, magma slime crystals are made from slimy magma mud, which can be made with a couple of orange slime balls or magma slime balls, couple magma creams, a soul sand, and a netherrack will make you your slimy magma mud that you cook up to make crystals. And this is a very strong material in most cases. It has the flammable trait on handles and extra, which means that blocking sets attackers on fire, which is a lot of fun if I do say so myself. And I have some friends here that I can use to demonstrate this. Allow me to spawn one in. We're going to smack him, and then I'm going to block. And hold on, I didn't have the shield up yet. Come on, come on. There we go. So you can see he is now burning because he just bounced off my superheated, or flammable rather, shield or battle sign, which is quite entertaining. Now, in combination with that, superheat. If on a head, like in this case it's both on my battle sign and on this sword here, will set the target on fire. If the target is on fire, you'll gain a 35% damage bonus. So it can work really well if you currently have something. Let's put this in my shield slot. And then I've got my sword as well. So I could block, set the enemy on fire, and then hit him with the sword. Or I could hit him with the sword and set him on fire and hit him again. It all depends on how you want to do it. So in this case, let's hit him once. Let him come at me. He's on fire. I get bonus damage on him. So that's kind of how it works there. Now this one here, it only has superheat. This one had both flammable and superheat. Of course, I can't block with the broadsword, so it's kind of useless to have it on there. But with the having it on here on the blade itself, and then adding some blaze powder to it, you can therefore make it so that you set your target on fire with your weapon, and then you can always do that bonus damage as well. Very useful, very handy, lots of fun, and really strong stats on it too. I do recommend you check it out. It has some decent durability, some good attack rates, and though the durability is a bit lackluster, so you could always trade that off with something else. And now we're getting into the last of the ones that you can currently craft with a pattern, but it does still require a bit of a smeltery action going on here. Well, not exactly, but a little bit of something. So what you'll need in order to make firewood is a few materials. You're going to need one of these casting basins here and some wood put in there, and you're going to need to pour some lava in it. Now right now I've just got a seared tank with a faucet on it. You could also pour it out of a smeltery, however you want to do it. Just right click, it pours on there, and what do you get? Lava wood. Wait a minute, that's not the same thing. No, it's not, but it is used in making firewood with a little bit of blaze powder, and that's how you get your firewood to craft these tools up. And it is a 1-to-1 value. Again, it does require a little bit of lava and a couple blaze powder in order to make this, but it does have its own benefits. So I just grabbed these tools here. I currently have a firewood shovel, pickaxe, and hatchet. It gives auto smelt, which it works on any and all tool parts and pieces, which I thought was a really nice touch. This also works with luck. So if you want to add some, lapis on there, you can also auto smelt and get your lucky stuff as well. But it will give furnace results if it's a block. So if I use these to kill a pig, I'm not going to get a cooked pork chop. No. But if I use the hatchet on a piece of wood, it will make charcoal, just like that. Pretty cool. Let's get rid of those. Now, if I use this hatchet on a bit of this here, of course, the parts are like dying on there. There you go. We got the equivalent of some cactus here. There you go. This block fell. The other blocks were hit by the hatchet, so it's something to keep in mind. If I use a shovel, I get glass. Pretty cool. Yeah, I forget my frame rate here. It's still all these the little items behind me. Sorry about that. But then I could switch over to a pickaxe. And if I wanted to, I could, with the proper upgrade of fortifying it with some obsidian, I can therefore harvest and smelt items instantly, including cobblestone into stone, and even maintaining stone into regular stone, which is a good way of keeping them simpler in your inventory. And next we move on to iron, which will require a smeltery, or at least some molten iron, to be poured into a casting table, into, whatever shape tool part you desire. And in this case, I have an iron pickaxe and an iron scythe to demonstrate this. So this gives magnetic, and it's very similar to flint in the fact that it has magnetic 1 and magnetic 2, and they stack in some ways but not in others. So you notice here these both have magnetic 3. It's pretty much the same exact ratio here. So in this case, you cannot stack heads with heads, or handle and a handle, or extra and extra, or handle and extra, but you can stack heads with either a handle and extra and gain the magnetic and magnetic 2 abilities. Magnetic 2, of course, is the head. Magnetic 1 is going to be the extra or the handle. And with either of these cases, you can use them to mine stuff up. And you see I mined that and automatically picked it up. Let me just stop. And nothing happened. Now, if I mine the block next to it, I broke it, nothing happened. But if I mine here, you see it automatically picks stuff up if I'm nearby. But I have to have, see there, it's pulling these items toward me. I have to have actually mined something or broken a block in order for these to actually come towards me. Now, it's not the best effect like it used to be. It's a little bit less than before, but it still works pretty good, so obviously I'm using this to clear the area, but I could use it to harvest a bunch of seeds, break a block, and some of these things get closer. All right, I'm close to this, and you can see that the seeds that were right there just got pulled in towards me a little bit closer, and the seeds are coming towards me as I break blocks. So it can be beneficial. The tool itself, the material itself, is very common, and it's a very good mid-tier stuff. Of course, but I think it's a little bit lackluster compared to how it used to be. Now moving on, a slight upgrade from that in most ways is going to be pig iron, which of course all the rest of these are going to require smeltery more or less in order to obtain this stuff. And it has 2 different abilities. One is tasty, which any and all parts and pieces will obtain tasty. If you are hungry, meaning your hunger meter has dropped down, you will eat the tool's durability as you get hungrier. So it's a chance that it happens. It doesn't just automatically happen at first. Once your hunger gets down very low, as it tries dropping, you will then just constantly keep eating your tool's durability. It's not massive amounts unless your tool has very low durability. But I have these just for demonstration purposes here. And of course we have Baconlicious, which on your head of a tool or weapon, every time you kill something or harvest a block, there's a chance that you will get bacon. Which there's nothing wrong with that. Now I have these shuriken here just so I can spam this and try and get my hunger down a little bit, and I'll be right back. And I'm back. It also helps if I take it off of the easy difficulty so that my hunger pops actually will go down low enough. So let's start off by equipping my pig iron scythe. And you'll see here that just by walking around... Oh, there we go. I started eating it automatically, and I made little munchy noises, and it ate a couple hundred. There was 2 munches there, and I gained a couple, like 2 halves of a meat pop, effectively 1 whole meat pop. Now I've got a whole lot of chickens here. Let's start making a whole lot of chickens. I'm just going to start spawning them everywhere. There we go. We now have a room full of chickens, and I have a pig iron scythe. So let's use it. Oh boy. That's a lot of chickens. Oh boy. And let's reap all the rewards from these chickens. And look, I got some bacon. Effectively, I got 2 pieces of bacon. And of course I ate a little bit more of my bacon of my pig iron scythe because I was hungry from killing all those chickens. But I did gain some bacon just from killing those guys, and therefore I can then eat that too. And gain myself a little bit of my hunger meter back. So there you go. This can be a lifesaver if needed, and always a possibility, if you have a high enough durability on there, of being able to, sustain yourself. Now, not to say that the pig iron items will just trigger when your hunger is low. It will trigger if you're hungry. So therefore you can find the durability of your tools dropping very quickly if you're not paying attention. And here we get into Night Slime, which is a very versatile and good tool, or good material. It is the replacement for Alamite, if you're familiar with that in previous versions of Tinker's Construct. This is made in a different way than usual, but it's made with some seared stone, which is just melted cobble or stone, some liquid purple slime, which is some slime put in there, some purple slime balls put in there to melt, and a bit of molten iron will make you molten night slime. And then you can pour that out of your smeltery and create your ingots and tools from it as necessary. The ingots usually I just use for repair. The tools is where you're, of course, going to want to pour into one of these casts. Now, I have up here a little bit of some stuff going on here. Let's grab these. Of course, obsidian is going to be used for the demonstration. So let's plunk down a piece of obsidian here. Put that right there. And I have, first and foremost, a prismarine shovel that is also the same mining speed, more or less, 0.04 difference from a regular night slime pickaxe. And all pieces are currently night slime. And this is to demonstrate some of its abilities here. Unnatural is one. It will, on a handle or extra part, it will mine faster the higher the tool level mining is above. So, for instance, right now I have, actually I will demonstrate that part second. The first one I will demonstrate is crumbling. The head only. No non-tool blocks, you will mine at half your tool's speed. For instance, if I mine dirt, there we go, by hand. There we go. And if I use a shovel, you see how quickly I'm mining those things? Well, if I use a night slime pickaxe to mine similar blocks, now I realize it mines a little differently for dirt than it does for grass, but if I use this, it still mines pretty darn fast. Not quite as fast as the shovel because, well, it is a shovel. And this is a pickaxe. But, if you look at, the speed that it would be for mining by hand, it is drastically increased. So it's about half the speed of whatever this pickaxe normally would be on stone. So you can see how fast it is to mine these by hand, whereas if I use the pickaxe, it can practically mean that you could use this or other tools as a multi-tool and try and harvest some things that you normally wouldn't and not have to carry around as many tools. Now on top of that, it had that other effect that I was mentioning, and that is unnatural, where it mines faster the higher it is above. So to give an example, this one here has a mining level of obsidian. There's a piece of obsidian. Now I could use this on other blocks, but it mines a little fast for me to be able to tell the difference. So I wanted to show this in a way that it would be more effective. And this one here I upgraded with a sharpening kit and flint to give it a cobalt mining level. So therefore we've got obsidian and cobalt. So because it's night slime, on the handle and actually on the extra part as well, it's going to mine faster with this than this one, even though the mining speed is the same on these two. So first, let me mine this one. You can see progress. 10, 20, 30, 40, 50. It's actually a little bit faster. Now, this is only one level up. If I were to be mining with something like if I'm mining dirt with this, versus something else, the higher the level. So because it's got cobalt, this is going to mine much faster on stone, much faster on stone than it normally would. So it's actually going to increase the mining speed more than what the numbers reflect. So keep that in mind with night slime. It has a really good durability, pretty decent damage numbers. It's got the crumbling effects on there and the unnatural that you can combine with a lot of useful tools. So this can be a very good and replaceable material for you to use. And here we have ardite. Ardite can be found in the nether. And once mined and smelted up, it can be poured out into the tools of choice to gain these two abilities, Petramore and Stonebound. Petramore on a handle or extra piece will give you a chance to get I believe it's 5 durability back when you're mining on stone. So it's a chance for it. It's not going to happen often enough that the durability is going to go up, but it will give an effect there that can be very beneficial to you for that. So therefore, its durability in this case, like 2965. If I were to mine out a large section, you'll see that it actually mines a lot more than 3,000 blocks in there. It would mine out considerably more depending on how much stone I mine out. Now, with that being said, if you go with the head parts, Stonebound means that the less durability it has, the faster it is, but the less damage it does. And to demonstrate this, I've made some unbreaking items that were at 1 durability each, so that you can see the difference in these tools. So let's start off with this here. I currently have a Petramore, or I have a Matic, and I have a Matic. Now, one of them, this one is at a very low speed, or a very low durability. So you can see the speed of that. Now let's try the one that's all ardite that does not have the low durability. It was alright. It wasn't too bad of a difference, but let's try it on something a little bit more noticeable. Alright, so with this, I'm going to mine out in this direction here. And you can see that that was 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Very simple and straightforward, and that was with a very low durability. Of course, that one I'm mining on iron, so let's... So you can see it is considerably slower with this. Now, a Matic was a very poor item to choose that to demonstrate with, because it isn't exactly the best on the materials that I showed you. It's more or less a hoe, and hoeing fast is not really something that I really care to demonstrate. But this here, you can see with the hammers how it best demonstrates. This being a very low durability, mined really fast, and this being a very high durability, mined at a decent speed. Now, how does it compare with other stuff? It can be better in some ways. It cannot be in others. So it's entirely up to you on how you want to do this. And just so that you are aware, if you are curious, how I made this unbreakable, I gave each of these 2 different paper parts, and then I added 5 reinforcement plates to make them unbreakable so that I could have permanent tools and never have to repair them again. Moving on from that, we now have cobalt. This one here is a very pretty blue effect here. You've got lightweight and momentum. Of course, cobalt is found in the nether as well. And the handle and extra will give you lightweight, which means that you get about a 10% speed boost for any attacks for your tool use on dirt and wood or mining or whatever you please in that case. And even if you look here, I've got a broadsword. In fact, if I look up any broadswords here, let's look them all up. You have the where is it? The attack speed is 1.6 for all of these tools. 1.6. But if I go over to cobalt, 1.76. So you gain that extra 10% speed because it's lightweight on the handle and or extra pieces. Now, momentum means that the more you continue on doing the same thing, the more speed you get. And that is pretty much effective for mining. So if I am constantly digging with a shovel over and over again and not stopping, the speed bonus is going to constantly increase over time to a certain limit, of course, but it is going to be ridiculously fast, and you'll be able to just wreck the place. Especially works well when you've got a hammer, but it can be a bit difficult to obtain because, once again, it's usually found somewhat rarely in the nether. And last but not least, we have mDiyo, which there's a lot of controversy on how that's pronounced, but I really don't mind. So what we're going to do is grab a couple of these tool rods, a couple of these rapiers that we have, and then I will demonstrate how they work. First and foremost, the attack damage on both of these rapiers is the same. I realize one of them says steel. That's because I've got other mods installed that allow the use of steel. That is not something standard in Tinkers. It is for mixing with other mods, so I will not be covering steel. But I just did this because it had a similar attack value if I added a little quartz to it, and that was what I wanted to show, is that they both have the same attack value. And the reason that I am showing that is because you have a few other items here. Cold-blooded. Handle or extra. Well, it means that the target, if it's at full health, will give you a 50% damage bonus on top for your first hit. And then, of course, once its health goes down, you'll be attacking for normal rates. Now, if you instead use mDiyo on the head, then you'll gain the insatiable trait, which means the more you hit it, the more damage you do for a bit. So allow me to demonstrate this. It's very similar to bones with that fractured ability or splintering. I can't remember which one it is. But with this, if I use a steel rapier on this dummy, 2.9, and that currently has an attack of 5.8. So let's see here. See, 2.9, 2.9. Now, if I use a mDiyo rapier on a dummy, you see it's 2.9, 3.06, 3.23, 3.4, and it keeps going until it reaches a cap, which, after about I think it's about 5 or 6 hits, it then reaches its maximum damage boost, which then lingers around for a few seconds or something like that. And then you could even carry on over into other mobs or something like that. It kind of hovers on the weapon so much, not necessarily the same mob, whereas the bones focused more on deploying a potion effect on a specific mob, which can be offset with a scythe, perhaps, because of a sweeping attack or a broadsword or something. But with this, often people will want the big kill, and therefore if you go with cold-blooded, which I spelled it blooded, just ignore that, I spelled it really poorly. But if you go with cold-blooded on there, and that's what I've got these rods here for. If I put this, let's pick these up, there we go, and give this the cold-blooded trait, it will now have a much higher damage rate, and I can do that with this one as well. And therefore I come on over here and test it out on these dummies again. So here we go. Now, instead of that 2 point whatever it was that I was getting for this, damage of 5.8, I'll get a 50% bonus. Boom, 4.35 now. So that's much improved. Now if I use this on here, 4.35 as well. So, and then of course I can continue attacking and getting my special insatiable bonus on there, not just the cold-blooded. I can get cold-blooded and insatiable. So larger weapons like the large swords that you can have. Let's see if I can get this on here. Large sword. You can get your large sword blade and the plate and stuff like that with lots of extra parts, as long as you have one of those parts. Remember that almost all these material traits will not stack with each other unless they are specifically set up to do so, like the crude 1 and 2 and the magnetic 1 and 2. They will not often stack, no matter how many times you put them together. Like if you're making a shuriken, you've got 4 knife blades, which knife blades count as both a head and extra part. Well, just one knife blade on a shuriken will get you both benefits, but on other things, it's not necessarily always going to be the same. So there you go, folks. I hope you guys enjoyed this bit by bit on today's Tinker's Construct 2. If you enjoyed this video, please be sure to give a like. Comment down below on what you have to say or things that you'd like to talk about. Subscribe if you haven't already, and don't forget to spread the mischief to others. Until next time, folks, I'll see ya.